What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. Appreciate you stopping by. My name is Andy, and in today's video we're going to be going through all the achievements in the Dead Space remake. So for those of you who haven't played Dead Space, basically we play an engineer named Isaac Clarke who is aboard the Kellion with his crew, Hammond, Chen, Johnson and Kendra Daniels, and they basically intercept a distress call from the Ishimura, which is a planet cracker ship, and we're going to investigate to see what the problem is. So upon arrival, we quickly find out things aren't what they seem, especially for poor Chen here, who gets properly messed up by this necromorph, just slammed. So cue the iconic hallway chase scene with a bunch of necromorphs baying for our blood until we're able to reach the sanctuary, which is, of course, the elevator. So much so that it will crush anybody else that attempts to enter it, apart from Isaac Clarke, as evidenced right here. After the first initial scares, we arrive at a workbench ready to tool up with our trusty plasma cutter that just happens to be lying about, while also heeding the words that are written on the bloody message on the wall telling us to cut off their limbs. We're going to attempt this video in 3 steps. So step 1 will be to complete the game with the plasma cutter on its own. Step 2 will be to collect all the fragments, the hidden marker fragments, with weapons and completing the New Game Plus. Then third is the dreaded impossible run. So easy enough, some might say. But enough of this messing about, let's just get to the achievements. So first off, here we have is the marksman for dismemberment of 50 limbs, which, I mean, you'll get this pretty easy straight away. So after this we'll do a few tasks around the ship, and then we'll end up getting chapter 1 complete. Welcome aboard. Thanks very much. Now chapter 1's finished, that leaves us straight here with the Kinesis module, which this nice arm has just left sitting around for us, which is always good. Then I always leave this next shot in because it's always giving me the creeps, like creepy hallway, creepy guy just banging his head off the wall, you know, just the usual stuff you would find on a mining ship. But enough of taking this scenery in, we gotta get more achievements. So the next one up, boom, slammed into the wall. It's called Raise the Stakes, and we get that for pinning an enemy, as you saw, up against the wall. Don't we just love hearing that little pop of the achievements? Oh, look at him hanging around there. So cute. Oh shit! So around the ship you'll also come across these text logs, and you can see an audio log playing in the back, but more on them later on. Here we have another introduction to more enemy types, where this poor boyo lying on the ground is shown basically what this enemy can do, which isn't pleasant. Next up we have this audio log here, which shows Nicole, who is Isaac's girlfriend, which he is here partially to look for as well, apart from fixing the ship. Although this time around, in my opinion, Nicole has been given such a more fleshed out story. We find out a lot more about what she was trying to do and how she was trying to help cure whatever was going on in the ship. But once you watch this audio log, it starts off a side quest, and then we come across this charming lady here who just seems to be looking for something. I mean, what's she looking for? What's she going to find in him? I mean, who knows? But it seems that she's been like, oh no, I'm caught. So yeah, I've had enough of this. See you later. This right here is one of the best cutscenes in the game. I just had to add it in for everybody to see, so I'm just going to let you watch it, and then we'll catch up at the next achievement. After all that, we end up with the lab rat achievement for completion of chapter 2, which then leads us nicely on into chapter 3. Here we just having a nice wee pep talk with Hammond as he's telling us that he still thinks he's seeing Chen everywhere he looks. And believe it or not, this chapter is where we finally decided to run into some issues, and these issues will appear right now. So after all those deaths, we rack up our 5th achievement here by using stasis on enemies 50 times, which you'll get just by playing through the game normally, as it's a gift, and using stasis is key if you want to get rid of those pesky limbs. And then that leads us to finishing up this hell of a chapter with all systems go, and that is chapter 3 in the bag, baby. When we catch up with Hammond, he has Chen locked in an escape pod and finally manages to shake him by just injecting him into space, hopefully getting rid of him once and for all. Once we figure out our next objective, we encounter what I would call our first mini-boss, and this guy is called a Brute. Now the way to do it is you just stasis him, run around behind him, and shoot him in like the yellow pussy bits that you can see, and then once you end up defeating the Brute, you get rewarded with the Brute Force achievement. After repairing the ADS cannons, we unlock the Cannon Fodder achievement, making that a swift 8 TiVos in the bag. So swiftly following that achievement, we end up getting the Backbreaker achievement, which is for stomping 10 enemies, and doing these ones is the easiest way I found to do this achievement. Soon after this, we get introduced to the Necromorph the Hunter. Now this guy ends up chasing you through the whole of the next chapter, making it quite a pain in the ass, and the way to do it is you just stasis him and then you can like shoot each limb off individually, which makes life a little bit easier, but he keeps regenerating, and then after that you end up having this fight with him in the cryo room. And the idea here is that we need to stasis him in this freezer, make sure all his limbs are off, and as you can see I double stasis him just to make sure he stays still. We then have to run to this room at the back, hit the switch, and then the freezer locks, freezing him in place, and then it jettisons him off, for now anyway at least. Once that's done, that is chapter 5 in the bag, so that's 10 down, 37 to go. And you collect the tissue sample here, which then leads on to a side quest in regards to the Hunter. So if you remember earlier, this is one that I had mentioned to keep an eye on. So basically, as you go through the story, you collect logs and listen to these audio logs, and they all add up, thus getting Storyteller. Next up, we have Full Arsenal achievement, which is for collecting all the weapons in the game, ending with my favourite, the Force Gun. Oh, what a gun. At the start of the video, we got the achievement for the 50 limbs dismembered, and this one here is Surgeon, and that is for dismembering a whopping 500 limbs. So that's a lot of Necromorph slaying. Let's go! So not long after this achievement, it leads us into our next boss fight, which is against the Leviathan. This is at the end of chapter 6, and the boss fight itself isn't overly difficult. You just gotta shoot like the pus bags that you see in most of the other bosses, like we seen on the Brute earlier. You just gotta shoot those and then shoot the inside of the Leviathan, and then we see it getting jettisoned out of the airlock into the depths of space. And then that leads us on to earning our next achievement, which is for destroying the Leviathan. Once we get back inside the airlock, we get another achievement, and this one is for finishing up chapter 6, and that is us halfway through the story, believe it or not. So there isn't much to report on with chapter 7, it was pretty much just straightforward. We just had to plant an SOS beacon, and then we just get on with it, which then leads us into chapter 8, where we find out that the Leviathan has stuck itself to the underside of the ship. So we're tasked with removing it once again, and then this is killing the Leviathan permanently this time round. And not long after this, we have the Valor, who responded to our distress signal, crash into the ship. So we need to do a wee space hop over to the Valor just to check the ship, and here we earn strange transmissions for completing chapter 8. Now this here is actually one of the missable achievements, and it is to survive the shooting gallery. Now you can just completely bypass this if you aren't looking, so be sure to be thorough. So this is the last we see of Hammond and Chen as Hammond refuses to be turned into a necromorph and poof, just turn into a bloody red fountain, earning the Wreckage achievement, which we get for completing Chapter 9 on any difficulty setting. Now, once I finished this, I decided to knock out some of the side quests, or start knocking them out anyway. So here we get one for finding out the origin of the hunter, which is basically scanning that tissue sample we picked up earlier. Casually decided to play some Zero G basketball, and let's just say I am an absolute baller here, even though it did take me about 6 or 7 attempts, but we'll not talk about. Next up, we finished another side quest, and this one basically is finding out more about Nicole. Now, remember we saw that recording earlier. This is basically the end of it, and it makes us whole again. Not too long after this, we finished Chapter 10 and earned the achievement Keeper of the Faith, and this leaves us with only 2 more story chapters to go, but we still got plenty of other achievements to get through. So we make our way back to the bridge, and this is the third and final side quest complete, where we earn the Master Override, which basically allows us into every room of the ship, and we're allowed to unlock all lockboxes, all doors, everything. We now have full access. Now, for those of you who played the original game, will remember this achievement as it was exactly the same one, but this time it's located in a completely different location. And as you can see here, it's just for collecting the Pang trophy. But like I said before, as long as you're thorough, you won't have any problem missing this, as there's stickers all over the lock. And again, just by receiving transmissions through the game from all your counterparts, you end up unlocking the 150 logs, which bags us the achievement, the Legend Teller. Tasked with flying a shuttle down to the planet Aegis 7, we earn the Betrayed achievement, which is for completing Chapter 11, then leads us on to the final chapter, which is happily called Dead Space. Now, this little bit I've just added in because obviously we find out in the story that we've been betrayed by Kendra. We're hallucinating and seeing Nicole, and the Nicole we see is actually another engineer, but it's just this marker making us see like all these other things. Now, throughout this game, it has been completely fine. I haven't had any issues whatsoever. Now, that was until it ended up me having to run out and fight the final boss, as you'll see here in the next clip. This is the clip on a nice little run towards the final boss, and then boom, the game freezes, and you can hear the audio still playing in the background, but nope, it boots me back to the dashboard. Nightmare, to say the least. But anyway, here we are, killing the final boss, and I'll just let this little last bit play out here for you. Where after killing the Hive Mind, we earn the last story achievement called Dead Space. And after earning the Dead Space achievement, we make our way onto the ship, and for those of you who haven't finished the game, this will be a spoiler because this is the end cutscene, so I'm just going to let this play out. And at the end of this cutscene, we also earned 3 achievements. One for finishing Chapter 12, another one for finishing the game with the plasma cutter only, and then another one for finishing the game on medium or above.
Isaac, it's me. Oh, I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry.
I'm telling you, I will never forget seeing that ending whenever I played the original Dead Space 3. It scared the absolute bejesus out of me. But anyway, we're on to a new game plus now, and then straight off the bat we earn Pack Rat. Now this is for having 25 items in storage, which we'll have got from finishing our first playthrough. So the next main difference in a new game plus, as you can see in the shelf there's an item I need to collect. These are called marker fragments. Now there's 12 of these scattered throughout the game. The only chapter that doesn't have any is chapter 9, and collecting the first one will earn us the achievement called marker. To see the alternate ending, you need to collect all these, and I'll show you where you need to place them towards the end of the game to unlock that alternate ending. Now this next lot of achievements are going to come thick and fast, as they're all the weapon achievements. So starting off with Pulse Rifle, we earn Auto Fire, leading on to the Ripper, which then gets us a Cut Above achievement. So that's 2 down, 4 to go. Next up we have Live with the Hot Ones, which is for getting kills with the Flamethrower. Then zapping enemies with the Contact Beam earns us full contact. Then after that we move on to the Line Gun, which earns us the Eviscerator, which is a rare achievement. After that we use the final weapon, which is the Force Gun, and that earns us the Pusher achievement, and that is all the weapon challenges done and dusted. Now throughout the game there's these schematics you can pick up. I think there's maybe 7 or 8 of them, but once you pick them all up you then earn the Merchant achievement, which is also a rare one for picking up all schematics. And now the next achievement I actually kind of cheesed. It's called Wishbone, and the whole idea is you need to snatch a limb off a necromorph as the limb's hanging off, but I could not do it for the life of me, so this is me cheesing it. Now we actually go back to back with a couple of achievements here. The first one is Built to Order, which is for picking up every weapon upgrade and having them installed. And then, just like the original game, the next one is for installing a node on every single weapon and having them fully upgraded, which gets you the maxed out achievement. So like I said earlier, to get the alternate ending you have to come back to the crew quarters once you've collected all the marker fragments. Then you go into one of the quarters and you'll find a table set up all creepy with the candles on it. You just approach the table, hit the button to lay the markers down, and once this happens a little thing happens, and then it leads you on to the alternate end, which we actually get a trophy for here. So this one is for getting the alternate ending, which we done by placing the marker fragments down, and then the next one will be for completing it on New Game Plus. And now this is the alternate ending, so again, spoiler warning, I'm going to let it play out, and just listen very carefully to what you hear them talk about.
Are we going home, Isaac? There's so much work to do.
Soon, I promise. Gotta build a little something first.
For me? What is it?
It's a surprise, sweetie. But I think you're gonna like it.
Now I don't know about you, but that screams we're getting a Dead Space 2 remake, and I am all for it. But anyway, this is the end of the video. As you can see, we get the achievement Untouchable, which is for playing it through a 3rd time and finishing it on Impossible. And see, to be fair, the Impossible run was probably my best run. I only had to save Scum once, which wasn't too bad, and that was only on the final boss. But thank you everybody for watching the video, appreciate it. This is my first video on the channel, so I know it can be a bit edgy and a bit rough around the edges, but hopefully with time we'll make these videos look a lot better. And for now, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one.